Hello, welcome back to the podcast Evolve with me, Lewis, and my good old co-host, my good old chum, Sam.
Sam, it's me. It's me, Samuel.
I don't know what to say this week, but yeah.
God. When you said ch, I was like, what insult's going to follow with ch? What's he going to say now? But you know what? You're nice to me. I like chum. I'll take chum. Lewis, what's the focus for today? What's going on today, man? How have you been? Tell me.
You know what? I've been good since we last spoke 2 days ago. I mean, this is actually the first day I feel actually normal since my illness that I discussed in the last pod. So in terms of business updates, before we get into it, I mean, it's been nil this week. I mean, I've just been recovering. It's been my first null week, and I was dreading this day, and it's already in pod 5 where I'm like, I've done nothing. But
we've got a lot more to do. Let's get to episode 500 and look back at this episode.
Next week. Next week, coming with updates. Pause. But yeah.
I should have to word it like that. Yeah, that's what are you going to do, comment? Oh, this guy, man. All right, it is what it is.
But yeah, how you been, man? How you been?
I've been good. As you can tell, I'm feeling a lot more positive. I'm probably a lot more animated than I was in our last pod. And admittedly, it's because it's been a day of work. It's a Friday. We're recording today, which is unusual because we usually record on Sunday. And Sunday is usually when I think my brain knows I've got work the next day. I'm like, it's going to be a long week, that kind of stuff. So I feel like my energy levels are different. As well as I've been drinking coffee like crazy because I had a lot of meetings to do. In general, I've turned it up a notch. So if you remember the last few episodes, I was talking about how I kind of failed to be accountable with my business and I missed some emails and it caused a lot of mess. And recently, I think also mainly because of this pod, right? Because of the discussions we're having. Recently, I've just turned it up a notch, dude. And I'm literally just like on game mode. Every day, I'm just like, let's do this. Let's get it done. Like, I wake up and usually I'll wake up and I'll just be in bed and I'm like, when's the first meeting? All right, I'll just do work in bed for a bit. And then when first meeting, I'll go sit at my desk and then carry on working. This time, I'm like, nah, I wake up, regardless of what I'm doing that day, I'm showering. I'm getting in the shower. I'm getting ready. I'm getting prepared for my day. I'll sit down, do my coursework, do some kind of business stuff just for like an hour or two, then straight into the day's work. And then I'll make sure I go gym, or if it's a rest day, do some stretches, and then bang, back on working on the Anchor Extrovert website or, you know, some technical stuff for Evolve, maybe a website, maybe not. So yeah, it's been good. It's been productive. And also I've been a bit naughty. And I've gone into some stuff that I said I wouldn't do ever again, but I've been doing it. I've been dabbling.
Elaborate.
Yeah, I've been dabbling in investments in assertive.
Did I hear crypto? Was that crypto?
I don't want to say it. I'm so disappointed in myself.
Was that crypto, Sam?
I don't want to say it.
Look at the camera. When you...
I don't want to say it. Oh. I got jealous. Everyone is doing it again, and I just got jealous. Okay, I didn't want everyone else to be like, "Oh, I made $1 million," and I'm just sat there like, and I still have £50. You know, so some of the money I got from certain options that I exercised, I put some of that into crypto, which will leave it at that. No more crypto talk ever again.
I was about to say I was so proud of you, and then you just said, "No, that's good, man." I feel like we've kind of like swapped, not entirely swapped roles, but yeah, it's ebbs and flows, man. Like we say, like every.
You're the one that's inside. I'm just
like this week. Like this week, I've already worked out once again because I was like ill. Like I just haven't. I'm out of the plug at the moment. So next week, like over the weekend, like my flatmate, he's doing Brighton Marathon, so gonna go see him and do that. Got my long run tomorrow, so again, I hope that will kind of kickstart, you know, getting in the rhythm of doing things. But I've just been focused on like rest and recovery. So yeah, it's good when you like, bro. Do you remember when like? I remember like when you just wake up and you know you have work and the first thing you do when you wake up, you just go, like, I don't do that anymore.
Well, like the first thing you do when you wake up, I definitely don't do that anymore.
Yeah, you just wake up and you just go, fuck.
Right, It's the worst. You know what? The worst thing is when I used to wake up. First thing I do, like I'm saying it like, oh my god, I'm like Guru Sam, and I found the right path in life. Yada yada. No, when I used to wake up, first thing I'll do is open YouTube or like YouTube Shorts on my phone, and I don't know why, but I'll go straight on my phone. I'll like look at emails, and then it'll go from like okay, YouTube notification or some kind of like social media notification. They know how to get you. And then I'll just be like watching videos and stuff. And it's been stressful because it's like the worst kind of content can set the worst tone for your day. It literally, you don't even know. Like you just start your day, you're just sat there like pissed off.
I remember hearing about this is because it's called like micro stresses. Like if you wake up and you go on your phone and you check your emails and things like that, I can't remember who spoke about this, but it's like you can end up having like 26 micro stresses before you even get to work. I would love to be one of those people that don't check their phone for like the first hour of the morning, which is mean. But I think there are definitely ways that I've got better with my phone in the morning, and I don't use my phone for my alarm anymore. I use my Whoop. I'm going to say their name. So you can actually set it so it just vibrates, and you don't hear that ringtone that gives you like PTSD and Nam flashbacks. So that makes me wake up a lot better. So because usually everyone uses their phone to wake up, and then you're already on your phone, and then you check messages. So I'm going to. I don't really check my phone nowhere near as much as I used to in the morning, but I would love to actually like be able to just not use my phone until I've done my workout in the morning, or if it's a rest day, like not for an hour.
I hear that.
That's something which, again, it's something that I would like to be more like, but I have to be. It's like a conscious effort though, to do these habits and things like that. It's why like people like charge their phone on the other side of the room and stuff like that.
One thing I have started doing, I tried it today. I say started once again. One thing I did last night / today is on Android phones. I don't know if you can do it on Apple. But on Androids, you can set Spotify as your alarm tone.
Oh.
So, like, I can pick a random song on Spotify. I can pick, like, a playlist on Spotify. Or I can just pick a song I want on Spotify, and that's my alarm tone. Because what I realized is I've had the same alarm tone for, like, regardless, every phone I've had, I've always had the same, like, because I've only had Androids. I've had, like, the same alarm tone. And I'm not going to lie, it pisses me off. Like, I wake up angry because as soon as I hear that tone, it reminds me, like, you're going to have a long day. It's going to be a long day because I'm waking up. So I now started setting up like hype songs, like drill. Sometimes it's drill, sometimes it's Beyonce, like stuff that's like hype. And I'm just waking up like, let's go, let's get that money. Yeah, that's really why I feel really positive today as well. You know,
I remember I saw this TikTok trend and I tried it, and it did make me feel good. But then also, I feel like any sound that you use for a long enough period will piss you off. But this woman, like, you know, obviously you've watched The Incredibles because, you know, you're black and clearly that means you like animation. You like anime and animated.
I hate how true that is. I hate how true that is.
My flatmate Ricky said this to me. It's like, bro, why is I know this is a stereotype this is the only stereotype I know is true for every single black person. It's like, you all love anime. And I'm like,
I hate this.
But anyway, she I'm going off track. But so you know in The Incredibles when like Mr. Incredible starts getting his back like life together, and it's like that song in the background. So she set that as her alarm sound for the morning.
She started with hype music.
Yeah,
so like, let's get back on.
Yeah. She was a Pixar princess every morning. So apparently that was good. I tried it more, and I was like, I feel kind of gassed.
I'm about to try that.
Yeah, try it. But anyway,
try that. Yeah, go on.
We have 10 minutes of
intro.
Awful.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sam, let me know what we're chatting today.
Today we're talking all about. Well, we're talking about emotional management, but I mean, a lot of the main one that's going to come up a lot, I think, is going to be stress. But in general, it's about just emotional management, controlling oneself, and just embracing the mess that is life and learning how to get over those hurdles. I mean, I'm saying learning life, we're the ultimate teachers, and in many ways we are, because we're perfect. No jokes. I'm saying learning because we're going to share, obviously, like we do in every other episode, we share our experiences. We share how we are coming over them or how we're trying to get over certain negative things that we need to work on. I'm definitely excited to actually share something that I whilst we're planning the episode, I remember there's a certain book that I said I hated, and I've been listening to it, and maybe I don't hate it so much.
Maybe
find out. Wow,
and maybe your co-host said that you won't hate the book.
Maybe he was right. Maybe I'm just becoming a better person and not holding grudges in life anymore. So
maybe.
Lewis, let's start with you, though. Let's start with you and let's learn about you and your low points when it comes to stress. Give me something from uni and then give me something from now.
Oh, uni. I could definitely give examples of uni because I had very high expectations of myself to get a first, which fortunately I did. And I think I mentioned that in the first episode.
Yeah.
And it was, I put a lot of self on my pressure to get a first. And honestly, it was maybe because my brother got a first as well.
Yeah.
And we did the exact same degree. Well, he did business, I did business and marketing. So It wasn't necessarily a low point, but I remember it was just all I thought about each and every single day, like particularly a final year of uni. To the point where it was just ruining my day because I was just like, what if it's gone wrong, and all this sort of stuff. So it was just like rattling my brain. And it was, I would say, stressing me out. Like, whilst I enjoyed uni, I think I definitely could have been in better control of how I thought about it. And because I was worrying about things that were out of my control, not things that were in my control. And that's very much how I now think about things. But looking back at uni in particular, it's like I spent so much time worrying where I could have used that time doing something else. Like, whilst I put in the time and put in the work, evidently, I still could have saved myself a lot of stress. And the lesson that I needed to learn, I wouldn't learn until my first job out of uni. So transitioning into that, my first job, like, the main lesson that I learned in this is, like, whenever you're doing good in life, you need to stay humble because it could easily go to shit. Yeah. Easily, though, on the flip side of things, when you're in shit, things can go good. So that's the positive side of things. So life is always going to have ups and downs, but you need to be aware that the down will come, and also when you're down, you need to be aware that the up will come. And this is definitely something which I've learned. Because when you're up, you don't see it and you fall harder. So, I got my first job at a good company, not going to say where. But I was thinking, like, this is going well. Like, I'm hot shit. Like, this is sick. Life's going good. In my first job, I would say I didn't really fit in with my team very well. I didn't get along with management. Just because I wasn't really willing to play the game of office politics, and it was very a politically driven environment within the team, not within the company, but within the organization and definitely within the team. I remember this meeting where there was myself and two other people on the same level as me, and pretty much every single person in this room got promoted except me. And those two people who worked alongside me who got promoted, I basically had to take on all their work. So I was taking on the work of three people. Did I get three people's pay, Sam? No, I did not. Did I get any pay rise at all? No. You know why? Because they said, oh, you weren't here long enough. Neither were they, by the way. So long story, to make it even worse after that, whilst I was already feeling like this fucking small. So after I had the work of like 3 people, and then my management were like, "Oh, you aren't doing this, this, and this. We're going to put you on this." They put me on a performance plan. Now, I didn't know what that meant, because performance plan sounds like a nice term. Oh, it's going to increase my performance. Cool. And then I was like, what does this lead to if I don't pass this? They were like, well, and I was like, oh shit. So that flipped everything upside down, and I was like, this is going to shit. So I had my first performance plan meeting. Bear in mind, the manager who I had did not know the ins and outs of my role and put unrealistic objectives on it, to the point where it was things that I can't even legally do due to GDPR reasons. But I was failed against that metric. So I actually got issued a warning. So that made it, again, 100 times worse. So I was in the office. Bear in mind, I'll get to this point. So I was going into the office for 9 a.m., leaving at 9 p.m. for months. Didn't tell my family what was going on. Didn't tell my mates what was going on. I basically internalized everything. Put on stones, multiple. And yeah, it was to the point where I was like crying before work. I remember I cried before work.
I've been there. I've been there.
And it was rough. And to the point where, like, I think the only person who actually finally first told was my brother. And it was to a point where, like, I was in the office one time and I texted, like, 2 of my mates that, like, I was getting, like, pains along my side of my neck and, like, down my left arm. And I was like, I'm actually, like, not doing well. So I called the doctors, like, then and there. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, you're suffering from, like, quite a lot of anxiety. We want you to take 2 weeks off work. And this is how fucked it was. I said to them, I can't take 2 weeks off work because they're going to use this against me to fire me. And I genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind all this time as well, I was applying for jobs, not getting anywhere, stuff like that. Anyway, I finally kind of, when the at that point, like, this was like 2018, I was very much of the mind, like, I don't have anything wrong, like, mental health wise. That's for people who, you know, have it, like, clinically. I was like, I'm not going to fall into that. And that's when I kind of was like, oh, right, this could really kind of come for anybody. So I told HR immediately, like, look, this is what the doctors have been telling me, but I feel scared to take 2 weeks off because my manager's going to fire me. I need you guys to back off and extend this deadline for this second performance meeting because I need to get my shit together mentally before I can deal with this. So I think that kind of scared them off because they were like, oh, right. So when the doctor said to me, like, you're suffering from anxiety, stress, all that sort of stuff, I was like, oh shit. And dude, it was like affecting, like, my skin. Like, I was physically showing symptoms of, like, I was just falling apart. It was really, really bad. And it's because I was internalizing all this sort of stuff. And the relationship I was in at the time, I didn't tell my girlfriend. I didn't tell anybody. Because again, it's like what I said in the last episode. I like to keep my problems.
Yeah.
And I didn't like being seen as, like, you know, fucking up. So it was my ego at play. It was my emotional management skills at play. And I'll get into how I finally sorted everything out. So yeah, the doctor was like the first mark of, like, you need to sort your shit out because like, I had put on excessive weight. I wasn't looking after myself, wasn't sleeping, wasn't working out. Everything was wrong. Everything was wrong. Complete reverse of what I'm like now. Yeah, started working out. Actually, I'll tell you what I did. I actually completely forgot about this. So the London Marathon just finished. And it finished right by my office because I used to work in Embankment. And I went for a walk at lunch. This was actually shortly after the conversation with the doctor, like, pretty much the same week. And I walked past, like, the finishing line. And I was like, I'm going to do the marathon. And that's how that actually started off everything.
Yeah, this moment. That was your trigger point.
That was my trigger point. And I was like, I'm going to do the marathon. Genuinely. And that started off everything. So applied for the ballot, applied for everything.
Yeah.
Like eventually got a charity place like months later. But like I remember like the next day after that, I went for a mile run and
Long.
I wanted to throw
Almost
the fuck up.
long.
So
Scary as well. Like knowing that you sign up for that and then you can't do the mile and you just sat there, you're stood there like, oh god.
well, I didn't know that until after I signed up because I thought, oh, I've always been able to like run, but this was before, you know, I was at uni before, but then it was the confines of sitting down on the job 9 till 6, and you know,
you did a real life episode of Run,
and then
Run.
Oh, bro, it was my life. It was my life, and I say that in the video. I'm not exaggerating. But yeah, I signed up, went for the run, and I was like, okay, I have a lot of work to do. And so what I did, I created an Excel document for running 2 miles, and then it's because they say like, oh, you're supposed to increase 10% like weekly. So I did 3 2-mile runs weekly, then 2.2, and then it was 2.4 something, and so on and so on and so on. And I did this from like May to being able to run 10 miles in December. And that was the year 2020. So yeah, this was like 2019. So yeah, during that time, I started running, I started eating better, sleeping better, to the point where like even enemies at work were like, oh, Lewis, you seem to have lost away. You're looking well. And it was at that point, it was at that point where I started taking care of myself physically, that like, you know, I finally got a job and was able to leave and things like that. But I started with the physical, and then that kind of led to me feeling better. So that was the first time I kind of learned that when you physically look after yourself, you will mentally feel better. So that's kind of like the first pillar. So that was a good mechanism for me for dealing with shit. So that's kind of like, that was like the main sort of like bulk of like, okay, I can't give a fuck about too many things, or give a fuck about this when I'll give a fuck about people when they give a fuck about you. So that was a lesson I learned before I read the book that we're going to talk about. But then that's when I kind of started I'd say learning to read, like reading, make reading a habit. I need to make reading a habit. So one of my mum's best friends, she's kind of like a mentor for me. She gave me 2 books by Ryan Holiday, which is The Obstacle is the Key and Ego is the Enemy. And that's when I learned about Stoicism and how Ryan Holiday kind of like has modernized it. What I basically learned from that is learn to control what's in your control, and then where it was out of your control. And that's basically one of my main things that I kind of take
that was basically Lewis's villain arc. So
it wasn't even a villain arc. It was like
origin story.
It was like he was restoring faith in myself arc,
bringing justice to Gotham. Just one marathon at a time. No, I've been there, bro. I've been there. And I think,
but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I've been.
Went off. No, but yeah, tell me about you.
Yeah, let's talk about me now. All about Sam. No, so you know, like my depressing stories, and I think I've talked about it enough. I've talked about it in a few episodes back of like pretty much uni going to crap, relationship going to crap, mental health crap. And if I haven't, a quick overview was didn't take uni as seriously as I should have. And I had all the skill sets and capabilities to do the work I needed. All I needed was a better understanding of myself, to be honest. Didn't know I was dyslexic until the last term of my master's, but on that journey, I think in my final year I found out, last time my master's I found out I was actually dyslexic, but on that journey towards master's I kind of, thought something was up. Long story short, my final year of uni I actually technically failed it, but because I had a mental breakdown during that final year, just like a breakup and God knows what other stuff was happening. I basically went to the university therapist, went to counselling, and they were like, yeah, you need to take a break from uni. And because I'd felt so bad, I was like in the survival mode. So I had the mindset of like, I've just got to keep going. Like, this is just me being weak. I've just got to keep going. Like, I've got X amount of months to just fix all this mess. It's impossible for some. If I put my mind to it, I can make it work. So every day for about 6 months straight, I did product design. So I was in the workshops building this desk that just kept getting crapper every day. Like, I was just making a mess out of it. I was not in the right mental state to be doing whatever it is I was trying to do, but I was trying my best. I was there every day. I lost so much weight. I think when at that point in uni, I must have reached like 86 kg. I was back to like nearly 70 something again. I turned into Skeletor. I was so skinny. I lost so much weight, and I just kept trying my hardest because I just wanted to undo the mess I had created through my decisions and through my actions. Long story short, the counselors suggested I go to the doctors, get a note for anxiety and depression. Doctor sat down and just went, "No, you've got a lot of problems. Go back to the counselor." The counselor said, "No, you've got severe anxiety and depressions. We just need you to like get a GP to look at you. Let's see if you need medication. Do you not? Let's keep doing the counseling, all this stuff." I got given medication to a point where I was like, I don't want to take this anymore because I was also drinking a lot. So I was basically like taking antidepressants, drinking, blacking out, getting into fights. And I was like, this is just not going well. Long story short, I basically failed my undergrad, like I said. But thankfully, because during my placement year and during my second year, I actually did really well. Because around that time is when I realized you get near the end of uni, you need to like start trying. I wasn't the same person for much of that as I was in my final year that we kind of broke up and I went to crap. So I was kind of like on like an upward trajectory a little bit, and then I dipped massively again. And then I went to uni, and my tutors were like, "Sam, you did so well in your second year, but this final year, which we actually grade you on, is so terrible." So they granted me a pass based on like, they gave me enough points on my grade that it nudged me into a third. And you imagine being a young black kid going back to your African mum and being like, I got a third. I was too big to be beaten. So they just gave me like, I got the shun of the century to a point where it's like, do not tell the family what has happened here. Like, do not tell anyone. Hold it to yourself. And bless my mum, like, she was doing it because she was trying to protect me. She's trying to be like, because she knew that if more people were looking at me thinking he's failed, it's only going to make me feel worse. So she was just like, hold it tight. And I basically got into this mentality of like desperately trying to recover. So I was like, I need to get something to undo that mess. I was still trying to do the savior mentality for myself. I finished uni, obviously, so the counselling had paused for a bit. Went back to uni to do my, well, kind of skipping ahead here. Went around talking to loads of tutors, and then they would look at me and like, I'd be like, I'm really desperate to, I'm not really desperate, but I'm like, these are the skills I have. I can design, I can use like the whole Adobe suite. I've been working on all these stuff. Now, I'd only talk about my placement year. I wouldn't talk as much about my final year because the placement year was when I was like doing well. So I'll only talk about that. And then they were like, yeah. And I was like, so I'm interested in doing a master's rather than going straight into work. And it was just like, yeah, okay. And then I would mention the grade I got, and their face would just drop and be like, right, why don't you email this lady or email this guy? We'll get back to you. I was like, you're not going to talk to me. This carried on until I met one guy who's now my PhD. He's one of my PhD supervisors now, DBA supervisors right now. And I met him and I was basically like, hey, this is my journey. I really want to get into business. And bear in mind, I tried so many different masters. I tried art and design masters. I even tried to join like some philosophy masters. I was doing anything just to get a master's degree. And then I went to this guy and he basically was like, okay, I like how you're thinking. I went back to one of the product design tutors to kind of talk to him and be like, I don't know what to do with my life. It's going to crap. Like, can I redo the masters? He was just like, Sam, I don't think product design is for you. He's like, I think you've got the technical skill sets. I think you're a creative mind. But I don't think the process that we encourage people to learn and the way we do things suits your way of thinking. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I think you should go into business. It's like, if you could take another business undergrad, or if you could try and like transfer it into business masters, will support you. But he's like, you're more of an entrepreneur than you are a designer. Oh. And then I was like, what do you mean? And so we looked back at all my coursework, and I know I'm going off topic here, but we looked back at all my coursework, and he basically said like, every piece of coursework that I was talking about design theory and all of it, it's like, you talked about the design theory, but I fixated on how much does it cost to make the product? How much does it cost to like make it? How I can turn all my products into profitable things? And he's like, that's not what this course is about. This course is about the theory of design, like the history of design, all this stuff. And you do like one page on that and you go straight into turning every single coursework you had, you turn it into a working business model. And I just sat there, I was like, yeah. And he's like, the craziest thing is like, they're all profitable. Like, I turned every little piece of thing I did into how it could be a business. In one way or another, I talked about how like, but in my head, I was like, well, I was trying to make it a practical idea. I'm not just designing for the sake of design. I was thinking about, well, if I'm designing for a company, they want to know how this idea will be valuable. And he was like, yeah, but we want you to like go into the depth of like the design history and why this person was thinking this way and all this stuff. So I was like, cool. So I went to Costas, explained it to him, and he was so like interested in the fact that I owned my own business for my placement year. I did like a short-term sole trader thing. And so I got an unconditional offer for an entrepreneurship master's off the back of all of that. And that you think was like, okay, you got what you wanted. The stress is gone. Like it only made me worse because then I just became fixated on getting the distinction. I mean, long story short, I got it. I got the third highest grade in the masters. I got third highest grade in the masters. I had no place in being in. Off the back of that, what it did. But what it did is it rewarded like a mentality of overworking myself and caring too much about certain things. And I've ended up now, like, I still have this depression, anxiety, but I better manage that. Or I better manage the positive thinking in my head. But what I do have is OCD. I have horrible OCD tendencies. And I remember a counselor who basically sat me down and said, like, your OCD tendencies are based on your feeling that you haven't completed enough tasks in your day or you've not been successful enough in your day. And what that feels like to me is that if I get stressed out in a day, I will spend about 20 minutes each day walking around my whole house, checking every door, checking all the fridges, checking the hub, checking to make sure every light's switched off, every plug switched off. Because in my head, if I don't, someone's either going to break in my house, stab me and my fiance, or my house is going to blow up and set on fire, or something's going to happen that's crazy. Obviously, all these things are very unlikely. But the thing is, I'll do a check, and I'll tell myself, you've not checked well enough, and I'll check again, and I'll check again. And it just kept getting worse. During lockdown, it was so bad. And then couple that with, to kind of like make sure I've achieved enough in my day, I hyper focus on tasks as well. So like I can sit here from 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. the next day, just coding on random stuff. I'll start with an idea in mind, I'll finish that idea, and then I'll just keep going and revising the same idea. But the unhealthy aspect about it is I'm just sat here in the same spot, not exercising, not eating, just coding. I'll get up to use the toilet, say hi to Sarah, back to my laptop again, just back to coding. And like most of the time, I end up throwing a piece of code away after I'm done. But it's just so I can feel like I'm special and I'm skilled. I can do all of that. I felt like because of all the stresses, the low points I've had, I'm currently in a point in my life where I depend on stress to feel like I've worked hard enough. I depend on feeling weak or tired. It's almost like a good workout to feel like I've smashed it today. And so, yeah, that's currently what I'm trying to like remedy. But I'm trying to remedy in a way where I'm still as successful as I'm becoming, but I'm also having a healthier mindset towards life.
Okay. So would you say like your mindset has improved? Do you think that, going into kind of more of a practical question, what are the ways that you improve your mindset? Because it sounds like it's more result based as opposed to a thinking, oh, okay, I need to think this way about things. It's more like your action changes the way that your mindset is, as opposed to stopping the way that you're certainly thinking about something. That makes sense?
I guess in a way it does. In terms of like, I was focused on the outcomes, but I wasn't really like, okay, carry on again. No, repeat that again, because I don't.
So for example, if you're in like in a state where you're like you're kind of getting obsessive over something, and in order to remedy that, you will sort of go into a production overload to calm those thoughts. Is that your kind of mechanism?
That was like that. Yeah, it's like not even a survival, but like my compensating mechanism is. Yeah, I would say that throughout all of that, my mindset has evolved to become more introspective. I spend I would say I spend as much time grafting as I do evaluating my behaviors and why I'm doing the way I do. Like I'm always in my own head thinking, why did you do that? Why are you doing this right now? Is there value to what you're doing right now? And sometimes it goes bad. Sometimes I convince myself to work harder than I should. Sometimes it's the other way around. I convince myself to take breaks when I shouldn't. And then I'd say most times it's in between. So I'm actually just like correcting myself and saying like, that's enough now. And I have to convince myself to go to bed and just leave a task incomplete.
So yeah, I know for you, follow-up question, because I know for you, that's like hell.
It is.
So
it's torture.
How do you what kind of tools or process do you use to kind of stop that sort of anxiousness? Because it's anxious extrovert. It's called anxious extrovert because that's how you describe yourself, right? So with your anxiety, and how do you kind of stop your way of kind of thinking to a way that is more positive?
All right. So I'm aware that there are weird strengths to the way my brain works. In terms of being anxious means that I overprocess the environment around me. It means, but overprocessing means I'm also taking a lot of information, a lot of data from around me, and I'm turning some kind of use out of it. So the mindset I'm now developing is, if I'm going to overprocess, I'm going to try and do a better job of finding the positives in what's happening around me, or a better job in finding, I've had a negative day, but what have I learned from that day? Where's the value in my bit, in what I've accomplished or what I've experienced today? Some of it is very basic though. Like, I don't go counseling anymore because although talking therapy helps, I feel like I got to a point where it just got repetitive and it wasn't doing it. Maybe I'll give it a go again. I don't know. But what I do find is venting to people that I'm close to, like yourself, like Sarah, friends, family. I'm quite bait with what I'm going through in life. I'm quite like open, and like when someone's like, "Oh, you're doing really well. You've got a nice car," and I'm just like, "Bro, I'm stressing." Like right now, I'm stressing. Like as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about how I can fix a coding problem that honestly, I'll fix it and never use that piece of code again. So like, it's being vulnerable about it. Going to the gym is helping. When I feel overwhelmed, I go and burn out a lot of the energy, and I'll come back. I think one of the best things that has worked is breathing exercises, and not necessarily sitting down and doing, like, I do enjoy box breathing. I think you do as well, don't you? You do.
Yeah, absolutely. Breathing. Yeah, box breathing I do. So guys, just want to quickly explain what box breathing is.
Yeah.
So for everyone who's listening, Google it. Essentially, you breathe in for 4, hold your breath for 4, and exhale for 4, and repeat that process. And this kind of helps in sort of moments where you feel moments of kind of like stress, anxiety, things like that, and it kind of centers you. Jay Shetty spoke about this. I can't remember what's her bloody name. Julia Smith in her book talks about this. He spoke about a lot in stress books.
It's such a go-to like briefing.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
So
sorry, continue.
So that was what one of my counselors encouraged me to do. But one main one he encouraged me to do is diaphragmatic breathing, because he sat me down and basically saying like anxiety could be caused by high levels of CO2 in your body. I don't know. He's not like a doctor or a scientist. And he's a doctor, I guess, in psychology possibly, and that's why he was my counselor. But he was basically telling me about how like diaphragmatic breathing kind of increases your blood oxygen levels and helps reduce some of that stress on yourself. So one thing he always encouraged me to do was breathe from my diaphragm as part of my daily activities. Not only would it help like strengthen my core and all this shit, but it will make me feel better. And I kind of let that go over time, but I'm getting back into it and I'm feeling a lot better off the back of it. I don't know if it's a placebo thing, and don't me not twat commenting and being like, it's a placebo effect. You're trying to ruin my life, bro. Let me have my moment. But yeah, I think it's making me feel better.
So for the listeners who don't know the differentiation between regular breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. Can you go a little bit more into that?
Sure. So it's kind of like, as most people breathe, they'll breathe and like your chest go up and down, right? Diaphragmatic breathing, best way to start is lay down or sit down on a chair and put your hand on your stomach. And when you breathe in, the aim is to move your hand up and down. So it's best to practice it when you're laying down, and like the aim is like breathe in, and whilst your hands in your stomach, your hand should go up and down. What you're encouraging your body to do is, rather than expanding just with your chest, you're encouraging your diaphragm to activate and pull down, which will kind of like open up your airway a bit more and encourage you to take in more air. And once you get comfortable with that, you're kind of training your brain to use that as the natural breathing method. Because obviously it's not every day, it's not every second of your life you're thinking, breathe in, breathe out. As soon as you go back into automatic breathing, you go back into bad habits and you start like breathing in from your chest, and it kind of like it introduces more stress. So you train your brain into breathing with your diaphragm and pulling it in more. And how long you increase your blood oxygen level. Apparently that's a theory.
And how long would you do this for? And like how many times a day? Like how regular?
Intentionally, it's kind of like, say you want to meditate or whatever, call it meditation. I would But at first, I'd have to actively sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes, just do that. Or like if I feel like, it's going to be I'm having a stressful moment, just take some time out, just lay down, do some diaphragmatic, or sit down, do some diaphragmatic breathing. But now it's more of a case of I would just, if I'm sat at my desk like I am now, I'll give it a go then. Like I'll be like, I'll feel myself like getting uncomfortable now. So okay, let's just try it for a bit. And now it's become like my go-to response every time I'm feeling like, I'm a bit uncomfortable. I'll just do it, and I'll like put my hand on my stomach and I'll just breathe in and out. It makes it awkward to do when I'm on podcasts. I'm worried about like breathing noises. So sometimes you see me like sit back and I'm just like doing that and just like breathing, like trying to concentrate. Try my best not to fall asleep because it can get so relaxing as well. But yeah.
Have you tried meditation using things like Calm and Headspace? If so, what's your experience with it?
I have tried it with Calm and Headspace, and I find those I'm not a fan of it, as you know, because I'm still trying to get it's a very difficult habit to get out of, and I don't know if I want to get rid of the habit completely, but I like to make the most out of my time. And sometimes taking a break and literally taking out time out of my day to effectively do nothing, it's really stressful for me. So when I try to like actively meditate and sit there and do nothing with like these kind of apps and stuff in my ear, it feels like I'm also arguing with myself as to like why I should validate doing what I'm doing. And it kind of takes me out of like, not necessarily relaxing, but it takes me out of the purpose of meditation, which is to like find some kind of comfort in the situation I'm in and try and develop the back of that. One thing I did love though is Headspace. I did do one meditation exercise that really changed my mind around this. And it's one of the basic ones. It's part of like the free plan. And it was like, the exercise basically talked about meditation being not trying to find peace and calm in your head, but embracing the chaos and learning to just embrace the chaos as it is. So meditation, like, it's not sitting there like going home for like 20 minutes and now, oh my God, I'm one with the universe. It's like sit there and let all the thoughts run through your head, negative, positive, wherever it is, just let it go crazy. Don't try and control it. And it's kind of just being comfortable and not trying to like grab every single thought that flies through your head. And that's what I learned to do. So when I lived in a flat by the train station, I used to live in a flat by a train station in Nottingham. It was really nice, really cute. There was like this big window that looked out into like the canal. And I would just like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., I'd wake up, I'd sit in front of that window and I'll just stare out of it. And I could do that because 5 a.m., 6 a.m., I wasn't working. I wasn't working on my doctorate stuff at the time. I was anxious extrovert. It was like very early stage. I was still dabbling with it. And I just got my first like proper job. So I wasn't like, my brain wasn't soaked up with, I have so much to do. So I was able to like early in the morning, just sit there and embrace the chaos and just do it. Now it's a bit more difficult because I wake up and the cats are like running around me and I've got to like prepare for a meeting at work. So it makes it hard to find this kind of spaces. So I guess now I've replaced it with exercise. But what about you? We've gone on. I kind of grabbed the attention, just rattled on for like 20 minutes.
No, it's good because I find this interesting because diaphragmatic breathing to me is like, and that just deep breaths. Basically.
Yeah, it basically is. Yeah,
but
like when you say
I think
people sit there and just do it their chest, like, and it's like
but for me and the listeners, I think it's quite good to explain the differentiation between the two because we're knowledge sharing and things like that. True. But for me, box breathing, I do like I've had my manager like tell me things that are stressing me out, and I'll literally start box breathing right as she's next to me, and everything like that, just because I feel like it just centers me and stops the intrusive thoughts, but it just calms my thoughts and helps me focus. But yeah, like I said in a previous pod as well, like going to the gym is very good for me mentally because I know that it puts me in a better mood because it releases all those good hormones and chemicals from your brain. And ever since I journaled and put in 2 different entries before and after journaling, it's been very good for me. Meditation, I've tried Headspace, tried Calm. I've never stuck with it as a habit. I don't know why. I think it's because it's just like, it's 10 minutes of like doing nothing. But what I have found is that journaling, I think you can find meditation in doing activities, kind of having like an active, doing something active can be quite meditative. So for me, when I take time to journal, you're centered, right? Because you're thinking about your thoughts and how you're feeling. That's what kind of like meditation is to me, really. In addition, I really value time away from screens because it's how I spend time to relax is literally watching TV or playing games or, and with working on screens all day, literally looking at screens of you as well. Not that it stresses me out, but it's like,
yeah, I look good, man.
But one thing I do try and do is use calm meditation, so sleep meditations, because just to relax my body before I go to sleep. So I sometimes do that. But what I was going to say is that piano, I find very relaxing. Learning to play piano, because like I had piano lessons as well as younger. Something I picked up after COVID. Again. So I have a piano in my room, and I haven't been on it for a while because of all marathon training. But it's something that again stick to. But I find that quite relaxing because it works over parts of your brain. It's working on a new skill, and because what's really good about piano and learning instruments in general is that it requires you to be present,
right,
and not focus on anything because you have your phone, you have all these distractions going on around you. When you have to play piano, you have to be fully present with what you're doing, because your hands are being entirely used. Each and every finger is being used to play the piano. So you have to be fully present with what you're doing. And for me, it's when I'm focused on that, I'm then distracted from everything else that's going on because you have to be. So for me, I seek micro meditations in those particular moments, and another one of them is reading as well. Because again, you have to focus whether it's nonfiction, because you want to be learning something that you're interested in, so you can't be distracted by what's pissing you off and things like that. Or fiction is also very good because it kind of takes you away the same way that TV does, but you're not getting all the blue light and shit that's bad for you. So I don't think you have to exactly meditate. However, I think you should do activities that require you to be present, because if you're watching TV, you can still go on your phone and be distracted by whatever's going on. But I think finding activities that are screenless are pretty good. That's why I think gym, piano, and books are pretty much things that I like to do to calm me down as well.
Nice. No, nice. I think I can't help it but have to stare at a screen. And I think, you know what? It's going sideways, but I was a TV child. I was a TV child.
I was too.
But like, I wasn't like much into cartoons because actually when I was growing up in Ghana, we only had one channel. Like we literally only had like one TV channel. That was it. There was no others. There wasn't like there wasn't even basically 5 options. Now I've gone back to visit Ghana. They've got like everything. They got all of it. Disney Channel. They've got Disney Plus. All that stuff. But when I was little, we literally had like one channel that we could connect to because my dad just refused to get a satellite. So all I watched was like the news. My mum would watch football on the same channel. Like everything was through that channel. And then one day I think they introduced a second channel, and we were all just gassed. We were just like, and they had cartoons.
I mean, yeah, that's double the TV,
so like,
bro.
Exactly. So like, but even regardless of all of that, I was a screen child. So for me, like, I find comfort in staring at a screen. Probably why my eyes are fucked, to be honest. I find comfort in like just staring at content and consuming content. So I hear that in terms of like, but I hear that in terms of your world is surrounded by screens. But for me, that's kind of like my relaxed experience to a point where there's a guy on YouTube called Heinz. I'm going to plug him. Heinz is like a wellness person, and his content was one of the first I came across that actually put me at ease. It became part of my morning routine for a while. And a friend of ours, Shy, I'm sure he's comfortable. Look him up, Young Black Psych on Instagram. He does a lot of like therapy work about young children, all this stuff. He showed me content from Heinz, and he was like, "Oh, he's sick, he's amazing." So I started watching it, and this guy has the chillest videos ever, like ever. It's so relaxing. Really? So it became part of my like morning routine of like I'd wake up, and if I'm gonna consume content anyway, I put Heinz on. And because the way he talks, the way it's relaxing, it's like, I just don't have to stay on my screen. Maybe I'll go, maybe I'll get
How do you
coffee,
spell? Is it like Heinz? Heinz like ketchup?
No. Hindz.
Okay.
So
Heinz.
is that
okay?
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, bro. In my head, that probably is the same as Heinz ketchup. I don't even know. But yeah, that was more or less it. So it kind of set me on that journey of something I kind of want to touch on, because I know I gave you a bit of homework based on something I know about, and it was about the book, The Chimp Paradox. Did you look into it? I mean, if you didn't, it's fine if you didn't. But I'd like to talk about the Chimp Paradox very lightly.
I did not, but talk to you about it. I'm familiar with it, but yeah, I didn't look too much into it.
Can't remember the guy's name, I'll be honest. But one of the main aspects of this book is understanding that there are different versions of yourself or different beings within the one entity that is you. You've got your id, your ego, and all these other things that psychologists talk about. And he kind of summarizes it with like your inner chimp, like the part of you that holds a grudge, the part of you that gets angry. And it's like, it's a beast. It's like your natural self is who you are when we get rid of all like these society norms and restrictions, is what you is humanity, right? And your inner chimp is almost like a pet you need to look after, you need to tame. And you, as like who you are to what society sees, is almost like a zookeeper. Not like they use those words, but you're essentially like a zookeeper, right? You're kind of like taming that inner chimp, and sometimes society requires you to restrain that inner chimp and do this and do that to fit in. And what he kind of talks about in the book is like, you need to learn to like give your inner chimp some exercise, like a time to run around. Don't always focus on shutting it down and like locking it away. And that's what I loved about the book. It's kind of like, it helps you, like, you feel seen. Anyone who reads this, I promise you feel seen, because it will touch on points that we all share. And you kind of get to a point where you kind of go, okay, I get that today's pissed me off, and at some point I need to find a way to like relieve the stress rather than just keep pushing it away. And it kind of goes on to a point that you were about to talk about earlier on, and it goes on to like the whole like stoic mindset. In a weird way, although like it embraces it, it kind of, in a tiny way, it counteracts it. Because a lot of Stoicism, like I think the way I see Stoicism, or I saw it, was like, don't show emotion, or don't let your emotions get you carried away.
Yeah,
control it, find additional value in it. And that's what I thought at the time I read the book. But as I've grown and developed, I've kind of seen it as maybe this book actually respects it, and rather it's more like exercise your emotions, but do it in a manner that doesn't cause disruptions to your future.
Absolutely, yeah. And just to touch upon, the race is going to go off with the Chimp Paradox as well.
Yeah.
They're going to these two monkeys.
Of course he said Chimp. Look at him.
Of course he said Chimp.
Oh, Daddy, how he's Chimp. Read a book, damn it.
Yeah. Race is going to go off on that one.
You're going to love it. Good. Have fun, innit? Let it run. See what YouTube does for you. Let it run.
Oh, man. But, what I wanted to touch upon with Stoicism, I think when Stoic, describing someone as Stoic can be seen as quite bad, because it's saying, have any emotion. But but these are people who I think don't actually read anything on Stoicism, to be completely honest.
Sure. Yeah.
But because when you actually read into it, and Ryan Holiday, I think, is the best modern author on it.
Right, fanboy.
Is that it takes all the old sort of like studies of like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, all them man there.
My boy, pour a drink out.
My boy Marcus Aurelius and that. Basically kind of applies it to modern society, because, these guys didn't live with technology and all these sort of things. But it's not exactly, not showing emotion. It's understanding that you feel these emotions and choosing to respond, not react.
Yeah.
And being able to use those emotions for something practical, and kind of maybe control those that aren't as practical. Like, there's nothing that can really come positive out of anger, essentially. So anger is something which I think probably is referred to a lot in the Chimp Paradox, because anger is very disruptive. Because
in many ways it is referred to.
Like, for example, if someone really angers you, and you need to, you want to punch them in the face or something like that. Don't get me wrong, if you're getting attacked and things like that, yes, you're going to get angry and retaliate. However, the most calm one in a fight usually wins as well. So
True.
even in that scenario,
True.
anger isn't really useful. So I think Stoicism basically is like talks about the acknowledgement of those emotions that you're feeling and being okay with it. And I think that's essentially what we were talking about earlier when you were talking about Headspace, because Headspace kind of uses the cloud visualization as your thoughts. So when you meditate, vision a clear sky and your thoughts as clouds. Some clouds might be very grey, some clouds might have lightning, and those would be like, your angry thoughts. But again, it's just like acknowledging that they are there, not trying to dismiss that they are there and bottle those, because that leads to a whole heap of shit, like what happened with me and my experience in my first job. That's exactly what I was doing.
One thing I recognized was I love embracing a stoic mindset. I struggle to maintain a stoic mindset. And like, I was trying to summarize this during like our session planning, and like we were like, okay, what kind of stuff are we going to focus on today? And what I summed it up as a bit dodgy is like, when like a really fit girl, this was whilst I was single, Sarah, I love you. It's like when like a really fit girl comes to you and it's just like puts it on you, like puts game on you, right? And then you're just like, no, I'm not interested. I'm not in the mood for that. And then it's almost like, yeah, I can say no. Yeah, I'm in charge. Like, I'm not begging. You're the beg. Back up. Like, it's almost like that. So like, imagine the feeling of being like in that control, in that kind of mindset of being like, I am who I am. I'm in full control of any urges, anything like that. And I get off on that. But the thing is like, I get so stressed that when people piss me off sometimes, I can't maintain that mindset. So like, I have to walk away or I storm off or wherever it is. And I was like, I think it's probably down to like a lack of maturity. And I think I've developed a lot past it now. So when people upset me, like I said before, the way I'll deal with it is I'll vent to the right people who care about me. But like, being a stoic person is something that, God, I enjoy it, but I can't maintain it.
Here's what, I think there's a few things that, first of all, I think with Stoicism and having a stoic mindset, I said to you is how the iOS is for Mac and whatever the hell Android is.
Every other device is for Android. Android's a host.
It's basically like a system or a tool that you kind of tap into for when you need to. That's kind of how I use it. But it is the thing as well with dealing with people that piss you off, right? And it's a slightly going off on a tangent, but like every person who you think is an arsehole or a bad person, they think they're right. They think they're a good person.
God, but
they think they are a good person.
Everyone I've argued with this week, you're listening to, you're wrong.
But the thing is, right, there's going to be people who view you as arseholes, and there's people going to view us as arseholes, but we both think that we're right. And so when I try to think when someone has pissed me off, that they think that they're right, and trying to convince them that they're wrong is a waste of time. You can try, but the thing is, because when you tell someone they're wrong, it's a battle of values, and you're saying that your values mean more, are better than their values.
Yeah, but what happens when it's like someone that affects your day at work? Like someone that has a say on your progress or like your performance, records and stuff. Like someone who basically like has an insight, and I think I kind of mentioned to you about this previously, but like someone who has an insight or control over like your promotion, who's basically coming across as like, I'm coming after you because I don't like you, so I'm just going to disagree with everything you're saying, find random reasons not to give you that money. Like similar to how you experienced in your previous job of like, I was wrong about your job. How do you deal with that? Because like having a stoic mindset, pretending be like, I'm in control, this ain't happening. What the hell?
I mean,
like, that's not
here's the thing. I don't know. I mean, we could do a whole episode on this, but the thing is, it's like you can't use logic to people who are giving you an emotional response, because they're just not going to reason. You can't expect a stupid person to reason with you.
Facts.
You can't use reason to stupid. You just can't.
My parents always said common sense isn't common in common people. And I was just there like, My mum has got bars. Yeah,
That's
my
a
mum's got
that's a
bars.
J
Give her
that's a J Cole that's a J Cole Kendrick.
I know.
That's some Dreamville shit.
I expect credits if they use that. Any rapper out there, if anyone puts these bars in your lyrics, I'm quoting this episode.
Say
It came out before
common
your
sense.
song.
You say what's that? Common sense ain't common to common people.
Bro, fact. We should do a whole episode.
That's a whole
about
tattoo.
that. It would be so just as good as like regrets.
Yeah, it's true, man. But yeah, man. I think it's just look. I think it's right for you. I think I gave this advice to you when you know, like, there's someone who's going to annoy you at work. Like, you can't. What I've come to terms with is that if you know you're going to interact with this person and you know they're going to be stupid, you know they're going to piss you off. That's out of your control.
Yeah.
Right. But you know that they're going to piss you off, so this can't surprise you again when they piss you off.
True.
You anticipate them pissing you off. If they don't piss you off that day, that's a good day. But they might piss you off the next day.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing with work, is like people are very much on and off.
Yeah.
So it doesn't set like a base. But before we go, because I know we just hit an hour. So
we've got to talk about that book.
So The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I really like the book. I've read it the second time this year. Sam, I think you owe me an apology.
I'm not even done with the book, and I'm sorry. Can I just say, I have my good reasons for it, right? I had a traumatic first job experience where the person that was in charge of me, I essentially believe, was see you next Tuesday. That view hasn't changed so dramatically, but now I'm kind of viewing it as much as he made my life hell, he has also played a part in aggressively guiding me towards success, because I have basically thrived to prove people like that wrong. So that person, he probably will know who he is when he listens to this, and yeah, it is what it is. But that person kept going on about this book, and it made me not want to read it because he suggested it. Like, it made me not want to do what he was like suggesting, because I'm like, no, everything that comes out of your mouth is poop. So you're an idiot. Shut up. I'm not going to read this book now. I will actively walk past every instance. And this book came up to me in ads after that as well. I kept getting loads of like analytics pushing this stuff at me. It's like, no, I'm not going to read it. And then you brought it up as like, oh, this could be a good book to like look into and read before we like start talking in this episode. And I was like, no, don't want to do it. And then this whole morning, I got it on Spotify podcast. I was like, all right, fine. It's a 5-hour long book. Do not put double speed on it like you do on other books. Just listen to it. And the first 2 chapters pissed me off straight away because I felt attacked. I was like,
what attacked you? What attacked you?
The bits about victim mentality annoyed me. The bit about not feeling special annoyed me, because I am special and people are hating on me because I'm a victim. And what other aspect? It basically just kept like bringing up almost every little insecurity and unraveling it in my. And you know what the worst part is, Lewis? The author isn't in front of me, so I'm basically listening and saying all the stuff to myself. So he's got me just attacking me. I was like, I pray to God I never meet this author because I hate you. And then I'm now like the halfway point, and it's literally like, it's almost like he triggers you to unravel, and then with kindness and like positive thoughts, it takes you apart. He helps you like rebuild, and I'm calling like the rebuilding myself phase. But I think that once again, because I'm naturally like an introspective person, I keep like trying to read into my own head and like evaluate my behaviors to make sure I didn't fail like I failed in my final year. Because of that, I've basically spent the whole day like processing like what was said in the book or in the audiobook.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's getting better. I feel better.
Just to go off on the point that like you're not special, because I think it's a really important lesson to learn, because a lot of people might think that we are very much up our own arse because we decided to do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And we think that we have important shit to say.
Yeah.
I don't think that at all.
No.
By any means. Like,
I'm expecting someone to help me develop by critiquing what we do.
What I like doing, right, is that throughout school and like work, like I've been very average, but yet I've been able to do cool things.
Right.
Like, for example, with like the marathon, average. I'm not good at running, but I can do a marathon, right? There are people who could run half marathons in like under an hour and a half, but they don't want to do a marathon, right? Because they just like can't do that, right? So I like the fact that I'm not special at anything, but I could still do things if I put my mind to it. Obviously, there's limits, right? But I like the fact that what this podcast what I'm hoping it will be, is show a path and show that two average dudes, right, can do some shit that people could think that they couldn't do. And not be it like they got lucky. It's like, actually, no, they worked hard.
Well,
they asked.
Is it more like to set an example like as well, that you don't have to burn yourself out to kind of achieve these things as well?
I like to set an example that you can do these things without being necessarily dealt the best hand in the world. Like, don't get me wrong, I consider myself very, very privileged in the fact that you know, I'm surrounded by really awesome people, grew up in a great home and things like that. And I know that people will have it significantly worse than me and are way more successful than me. And by all means, go listen to those people. But I like the fact that you are not special is advice, because I don't want people to think like, oh, these two think they're hot shit and can do whatever. Exactly. And you know, they think they're God's gift, and maybe we are.
Yeah.
But I think you are not special.
Control me.
I think you are not special is awesome advice, because or think like, oh, one day this is gonna happen. It's like, it's not gonna happen unless you try.
Yeah.
And I think for anyone listening who's like scared about trying or scared about what people think are you trying, you know that the lamest person is someone who takes a piss out of someone for trying when they are doing anything. Oh my
God. And do you know how many people I know from like secondary, primary school who have been set so far back in life because of that mentality of like getting laughed at because you read well in class today, getting laughed at because you did your homework. Like get like those kids that like cussed out people, and like now, like I'd say 1% of those people, not even that, like half a percentage of those people are successful. The rest of them, arguably, I don't think have gone anywhere near as far in life as they would have if they actually just ignored the haters and did what made them comfortable and happy. I will say though, one thing this book has taught me about is because I think a lot of the pain I have in life, a lot of my justification and my response in life was, I have to find my own unique place in the world. I have to find a unique position in the world. And as someone who is an anxious extrovert, I'm very outgoing, but also like I hate birthday parties because it's a day where everyone's staring at me as well, right? And someone who's got that kind of mentality, as much as I'm desperate to find my own place in the world, I'm also aware that it brings me an uncomfortable level of attention. So it's also something I hate. So I've had like a love-hate relationship with my own personal decisions and the actions I've taken. And reading that book made me aware, it's like, you don't have to be special, right? Like, you don't have to be the unique person. You just need to like live. Well, it says happy, but I think you just have to live a fulfilling life. You have to do something for you, and if you care about others, do something that benefits others. But you shouldn't feel like, one, I need to fix racism. I just need to fulfill my personal values that if I can help someone understand more about the world and they want me to help them, or if they ask me for advice, I'm not going to be a dick. I'll give you the advice. If I'm in a position where I can have an input and a positive change in those around me, I would take that and do that, because I personally believe that do good unto others and the world will smile back at you, right? And that's the mentality I have. But I'm not going to get stressed every time I see a video about some guy calling someone an N-word, or some guy, or like some bald white man shouting at a group of black kids for playing in the road or something like, I'm not going to get upset about these things anymore. I'm going to try not to, because my previous mentality was, I have to play a part in fixing all of this in the world. It's my job as a human being in the human race to correct all of this. And I think it's a collective responsibility And I also think that I need to think about my outcomes and what experiences I have in life and how enjoyable that experience is. And to do that effectively and to do that in a healthy way, I can't make all of the world's problems my problem because I'm not the only hero in the world. I can play my small part and it might have a butterfly effects further down the line. And that's fine. And I need to embrace that that's how the world works. But yeah, that's essentially where I'm at right now in life, bro. After listening to just, I'd say 2/3 of that book.
Yeah, man.
I'm really excited to finish it.
Yeah. It's good, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of people hate the book, but again, I feel like if you hate the book and read it, not just saying you hate it because other people did, it's probably because it really attacked you in a very very
what's wrong with
way.
Yo, what's wrong?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like the one thing I said is like, I think I said this in the first podcast episode. It's like, I can't wait for haters for a podcast.
Oh, I can. No, leave me alone.
Because
Let me sleep
no, because that means right, because if hate is inevitable, right?
Yeah.
If we aren't experiencing hate, we're doing something wrong.
That's true. That's true.
That's my actual evaluation.
Like you said as well, like there's also, like we've said, common sense isn't common in common people. Like we said, there are idiots in the world. Like we've said that there are people with their own opinions saying we're not special, you shouldn't let it get to you. I think it's also something to put in that a lot of haters are insecure people who are struggling to feel special in the world. Like all these like people who commentate on like all these like right-wing people and these hard left people and all these people that have to have their say on a platform, and then they'll create their own platform for themselves and talk about how immigrants don't belong on this planet that we all share, and this is my country, get out, and war is war, and XX Gaza and XX Israel. Like, these are all sensitive topics, I agree, but there are some places in certain areas in these conversations that actively trigger people for the sake of attention, for the sake of feeling worthy for an argument and a conversation. And one thing I've definitely learned to accept in life is that some people honestly have nothing beneficial to add to the conversation. The benefit they get is your attention in pissing you off. They do not seek to learn anything about you as a person, your culture, what your experiences are, and even try and like envision life from your point of view. They just seek to trigger you because they've decided that they're the law of the Discord and they're like the leaders of this. And by you arguing back at them, all you do is validate sometimes their mindset.
What I really love as well is when if someone's come up to me and be like, "Oh, what are your thoughts on this, this, and this?" Yeah. I am very much kind of person who would be like, "Look, I don't know enough about this topic to have an opinion on it, so I'm not going to say anything." Yeah, because I don't have anything that I think is going to contribute to this. It's like, you know, in work when people just talk for the sake of talking because they want to seem like they're smart. The smartest person,
lip service for dumb reasons
is the smartest person in the room is probably the one who's the quietest, right? Yeah, and the one who's actually listening to other people's opinions before they can they say something.
100%.
And I think, again, like going back to this book, it's like, again, it's choosing when to give a fuck about something. And one of the things which I've always said is like, not always said, but it's definitely what I say now, is like, you can't give more fucks than fingers. Like, you can't give a fuck about too many things. True. Right? Because you're just going to stress yourself out.
Yeah.
And on that note, I get some wrap up.
I'm going to wrap up. I don't give a fuck about you. Goodbye. I'm joking. It's been beautiful talking.
It's been a good one, man.
Conversation. I've actually really enjoyed this. I don't know what I'm doing with my arms. I don't know what I'm doing. Flexing. Look at my muscles. I'm giving a fuck. No, I'm joking. No, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to talk about this topic. It's been good to be able to reflect, break my own personal barriers with your encouragement, Lewis, to read or listen to this damn book. I'm going to go finish it. But Lewis, you are best at doing this social outro. So please tell the people where they can find us and what they should do next.
Guys, TikTok, The Podcast Involved. Instagram, The Podcast Involved. Give us a follow. YouTube, The Podcast Involved. Like, subscribe, because we're going to hit that shiny 100K, baby.
Shiny.
Email, thepodcastevolve@gmail.com. I always forget to shout out the email. And also, please remember to follow our businesses, Xander Studios, XNDER, and Anxious Extrovert as well on
.co.uk.
Instagram. And it's anxiousextrovert.co.uk if you want to check out the website.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Also, let us know what kind of conversations you want us to discuss as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want to hear. We're about to start going live.
Number 5 now.
Yeah. This is time to push the button. It's time to do the thing. We're about to do the thing now.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Next episode is the first time that we're going to actually be live and up. So this is the last of the pre-recording. So this is actually a monumental ending. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about that as well.
Oh, okay. Wait.
That'll be good.
Off script. We have like plans for episodes. You want me to just throw that in there? All right, Carl. Next episode, we're going to talk about how it feels to know that our voice is out there. How I'm just looking at everyone thinking, did you watch it? Do you hate me?
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right,
let's go.
Guys. See you next week.
Love you. Have a beautiful life.
Peace. Have a good week.
Bye. Bye.